This morning, we are sharing a powerful story of survival and healing from the only woman to receive a conviction against Bill Cosby.
The Andrea that walked in that door that night was not the Andrea that walked out the door.
He came.
That is Andrea Constand, one of 63 women to accuse Cosby of sexual assault. Constand took Cosby to civil court and to criminal court twice before securing a conviction that was later overturned, not because Cosby was found innocent, but because of a legal technicality. Constand is now sharing her story in a stunning new documentary, and she is our guest this morning. Welcome to Your Morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to speak to you after watching this story over, almost 2 decades now. I want to ask about your decision to do the documentary, first of all, sharing your story in this way. What made you want to do it?
Well, I think confronting the impact of trauma, really, I think I just wanted, the world, people to see what it's like for survivors and the damage that is really wreaked on families and loved ones around them. There is, my legal odyssey and obviously some of my personal journey that's there. But I think on a more societal kind of cultural importance to really show the impact of confronting trauma and what that looks like.
And that is a really poignant part of this documentary. I mean, it led to discussions with our family. We hit pause and had this conversation with our teenagers. In particular, there's this part where you and 5 other survivors were able to gather and explore the profound impact of trauma with one of our country's top doctors. Share what you learned about how trauma manifests itself in the body, in particular for women.
Yeah, well, keeping silence and keeping secrets, it's why I say, hashtag tell someone. Staying in silence, you don't have a voice when you stay in silence. You're keeping secrets, and that can really manifest, into different sicknesses. I think we talk about it, different autoimmune disease disorders. And I think that's very telling in terms of our health as a society, as a culture, and with everything that's happened during the Me Too movement. I mean, so many people coming forward, actually getting this trauma off their shoulders. It's a big release. It's a really big release of trauma. And I think that starts the healing path for many people. I think it's difficult to confront. It's hard to talk about. And, some of those moments at the retreat are very difficult to see. But I think it really is the beginning of a healing journey for many survivors.
Part of that session was when you were discussing the power of anger and about how anger can get a really bad rap, but there is a healthy way, in fact, a vital way of expressing anger, in particular for women.
Yes, I think women are programmed to suppress anger, and I think it speaks to, I think it's important for us to be able to have boundaries, to know when to say no, and to know when to say yes. And I think that's part of a healthy emotional landscape. And I think, touching on that, I think that's a very important moment in the film. Where you have a choice, you have the ability to say stop, to say no, and it's really just about voicing how you're feeling in the moment. But I think, again, going back to how women are suppressed, women are trained to suppress their anger. I think this is a really important point in terms of being able to, emotionally have a good foundation.
I will tell you, it was a big aha moment when you realize, while men may be allowed to express anger, loud voices, punch something, get physical, women are taught don't express yourself that way. So you internalize it, right. And that has such negative consequences even from a health perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to be able to have the strength in saying no. And I think, if anything, all of what has happened and all the women and men who have come forward over the years is just a great indicator of you have a voice, you have the ability to make a decision in that moment.
Andrea, running alongside your healing journey in this documentary is the legal journey. And as you know, we mentioned off the top, it goes on for decades. You are the only person who was able to secure a conviction against Bill Cosby in criminal court. It took a while to get there. There was this, you know, it's a long legacy. It dates back to the assault in 2004 and goes on from there. There was the mistrial in 2017, and you decided to move forward with another trial. How difficult was it to make that decision to go through the process again?
It was very difficult because I didn't really have a shot at justice. You know, I think going into everything, I had a 2% chance of getting a conviction. And so it was really, I was against the whole justice system. The justice system never really was working in my favor. But, you know, I didn't have an expectation of winning in this situation. It was more just about my healing path and how important that was for me. There was no winning for me. It wasn't set up for me to win. I just took a chance, and I had faith, and I believed.
Well, it's an incredible story because you eventually received this conviction against him in 2018, and then it's overturned in 2021. Not because he was found innocent, but because of a technicality. When you reflect back on that, how does it feel? Does it matter that it was overturned?
It does matter for the message that it really sends to, I think, other survivors and other people out there who are, who really are seeking justice. I think it was disappointing in that sense. But at the same time, just because of the message it sends, the message is that if you come forward and you report your abuser and turn to the justice system, there's a chance that the person who you fought to who you fought to get convicted ends up getting out of jail. So what's the point in going forward? But ultimately, you know, Cosby did serve almost his minimum sentence. And for me, like you said in the beginning of the show, this was on a technicality. This was not based on what the jurors heard in the courtroom for those weeks, and that they found him, they believed me, and they found him to be guilty on all 3 counts.
Andrea, the way that you end this documentary is really beautiful. You look right at the camera, you talk to people who might be living in trauma. I want to give you an opportunity to do the same type of an address if anybody's watching this and can relate to any part of your story.
Yeah, you know, what I said is you can do it. You're not alone, and you aren't alone. It takes a community to really support survivors. And there's a community out there of people who support, who advocate, who have resources. And tell somebody it's not worth it to sit in silence, you know, to not have a voice. And we share your pain, and it's very uncomfortable. But ultimately, to get that sense of healing, to get that sense of recovery, to get that sense of moving forward, go through the uncomfortable. It's worth it. There's no way to get around trauma. The only way we can heal and move forward is to not go around it, but to go through it. And you can do it. You're not alone. Have a voice. Tell someone. And we are here for you. You are supported.
So powerful. The Case Against Cosby is streaming right now on CBC Gem. Andrea, real honor to meet you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.